just here chilling, trying to, stay safe. Stay safe, wash your hands, stay at home, except if you're on essential duties. And so I realized something, which is, and I've been thinking, right, how do I add value to you guys? How do I add value to my friends, my family in this season? And so something happened yesterday that really made me decide to come on live to talk to you guys. My sister-in-law called me and she was telling, and now, if you've joined me, thank you very much, but stay till the end. What I'm going to talk about is super important, especially if you're at home, locked down. Yes, I didn't announce, it was impromptu, and because, I just decided to, right? Now, if you're here, thank you for joining. Stay till the end. I bet you get something of immense value, right? So I was telling you guys, so yesterday, my sister-in-law called me and, she was telling me that her daughter was hyperactive and she just wanted to talk to people. Like, she was like, she wants to go out. She was like, you can't go out now, we're on lockdown and whatnot. She was like, please, I just want to go and speak to the security guard. And she said, okay, you know what, you can speak to the security guard. And so she went, just told the guy hi, and then she came back inside the house. And then I realized that a lot of us, a lot of parents that have grown-up kids, maybe children between the ages of 3 to like 7, 8, 9, 10, this might be the first time that you're actually staying at home very long with them. And honestly, they might start to drive you crazy, right? And not only the kids, even, your significant other, your spouse, your friends, your family, they might start to drive you crazy, right? And the truth is, you won't really blame them. Why? Now, the reason is, in times of stress, one of the biggest things the first thing that breaks down in times of stress is our communication. And if we're not able to communicate effectively, right, it increases the stress. When your stress is increased, the truth is you will start to lash out. Hi Bashira, thank you for joining. Hi Sharon, thank you for joining. Hi Dogara, thank you for joining. Welcome. Now the truth is, so that's what I want to talk about today. How can you de-stress whatever situation you are in, especially when you have kids? So I'm going to talk about kids today, and then maybe hopefully tomorrow I'll talk about adults, right? And even in the kids, you'll still find value in it, even if you don't have kids, right? Now, what do you do to distress stress? Now, the thing is, we all act in different ways, right? We all act in different ways based on our personality types, right? And the funny thing was, when so 2 years ago, I became a behavioral analysis consultant, and that sort of changed my entire life. Not only did it equip me with the tools and the ability to help people identify their own personality types and how to meander and go about it. No, it did that, but what it did for me more than ever was to help me understand my own personality, my own strengths, my own weaknesses. And when I saw that, that's when I said, you know what, I need to share this message to the world as well. And so I've been thinking and I've done personality assessment for more than 50 something people so far. And it's been amazing, one-on-one coaching and all that. But I now realize that, how can I use this knowledge that I have to the general public? How can I help people become better? So what I did was, came with a little bit of notes. I have my notes here, just so that I don't forget anything, right? So we'll talk about hey, Ahmed Katuka, thank you for joining, welcome. Now, I urge you, stay till the end. And you know what? You can even share this live to your friends. Please share it so that more people can benefit from it. Because the honest truth is that, yes, staying at home is staying safe. But imagine if you stay safe physically, but then you come out of this quarantine, mentally not safe. Right? You fought with your spouse, you fought with your kids, you've frustrated everybody's frustrated. It's not really ideal. So the idea why I'm coming live is to help you to understand how you can distress those situations, right? Especially with your kids. Now, there are 4 distinct personality types that we have, right? And, people call it different names. There are people that, depending on what method you are using, but I use the Maxwell disc method to assess people's personalities. And in the Maxwell disc method, we say that there are 4 distinct personality types, right? There's the dominant, which is the D type. There's the influencing, which is the I type. There's the steady, which is S personality type. And then there's the compliant. But before we even go further into all that, right? Okay, boss, I'll call you. Before we go into all that, right? How do you, where does your personality come from? So your personality comes from 3 places, right? So depending on those 3 things, that's how you have your personality. The first one is your heredity. What do you inherit from your parents? So most likely, if if your parents are both introverted, reserved, you most likely be reserved. If your parents are extroverted, you might be extroverted. Or if you have one parent introverted, one parent extroverted, you might fall into one of the other categories. So heredity is the first place that we get our personality from. The second thing is the environment. What kind of environment do you grow up in? So if you grow up in a very, loud environment, most likely you're going to be an extroverted person. If you grow up in a very quiet and, reserved environment, you most likely be reserved. And then the third one is role models. The kind of role models that speak into your life. As you grow up, you start to imitate those role models. And what happens is that you will now even become, you start, faking it till you make it, right? So you start faking and pretending to be like them till you become like them, right? So what we're talking about is how you can use people's personality styles to diffuse a stressful situation. And the honest truth is that this COVID-19 is a very stressful situation for all of us. Now, the funny thing is that you need to realize that people manifest stress in different ways. Because somebody else is manifesting stress in one way doesn't mean that if the way they are manifesting stress is different from yours, it doesn't mean that their stress is not valid. It's very valid. So what I want to share with you guys today is how you can identify stressors depending on the personality types. And then when you identify those stressors, you can now use that to distress the situation. So I'll go right ahead and stay till the end. You will get amazing value from this, right? So thank you guys for joining. Henry Oti, I can see you. Ushishi, I can see you. Monsieur Toure, I can see you. Thank you very much for joining. So the first one is the D-style type. Now the D-style type, how do you identify them? They are the outgoing, they're the confident ones. So if you have a child that is very confident, and sometimes you even wonder that, now me born this speaking, I've been a bit this speaking born me. They are very, very, outgoing, outspoken. They will tell you, this is what I want. You can come and you're talking to them and they'll be like, no mom, no dad, this is how it's supposed to be. This is what we're going to do. Now, so when you have that kind of child, most likely that child is D-wired. Now, a D-wired person is dominant. So they enter a place and they will take over the entire place. But then when they are under stress, how does it manifest? So the first thing that you start to notice is that they become strong-willed. Because they're naturally strong-willed, so the strong-willed nature will increase. The second thing is that they become very rebellious. So if you have a child and the child is all of a sudden just very rebellious, just throwing tantrums, doing weird things, just know that most likely this child is D-wired and most likely that child is under stress, right? And then the third one is confrontational. So when they love confrontation, and when they are under stress, they become more confrontational. They become more argumentative. They will argue with you and, just generally drive you crazy. So imagine you have a child and the child is at home and all of a sudden the child becomes very confrontational. You tell the child, do this. You're like, no, I'm not going to do it. Do this, It adds more pressure to you. It adds more stress to the situation, and you enjoy having that child at home, right? So what's the easiest way for you to distress that situation? Because the D-style personality types love control. They love to take charge. They love to take control of whatever situation they are in. So the easiest thing for you to do to distress that situation is to give that child something that they can control. So you can tell the child, hey, guess what? I want you to be in charge of lunch today. It's Koboko. No, not Koboko. I want you to be in charge of lunch today. So you determine what the family will eat. And because they love control, all of a sudden, what will they do? They'll be like, okay, guys, I'm in charge of lunch. I'll make sure that lunch is on point. And you see that they will pour that pent-up stress and pent-up anger into ensuring that everybody is seated for lunch and lunch is ready and all that. You can do so many things. You can say that, Hey, Malga, thank you very much for joining Afolabi. Thank you for joining. Amazing stuff, amazing stuff. Guys, you know what? You can share this on your page right now. Just click the share button so that we have more people joining and they'll benefit. So we're talking about the D-style personality types, right? And the D-style personality types, we say that they tend to be rebellious, they tend to be strong-willed, they tend to be confrontational. If you want to distress the situation, is to give them something to be in charge of, right? And then you know that for you to nurture your children, right, you have to give them words of affirmation, words of comfort. So for a D-style personality child, a word of comfort that you can give that child is, I like that you know what you want and you go for what you want. Because they know what they want. They always know what they want. Even if they are 10 years old, 9 years old, they'll tell you that, Dad, this is what I want, right? So if you tell them that I like that you know what you want and I like that you go for what you want, they will naturally be inclined to, believe that, okay, this person is listening to me. This person actually understands me. Because the truth is, what really escalates stress and pressure in most relationships, in most families, is the fact that people don't feel heard. And the truth is that you can only feel heard if someone is speaking a language that is aligned with your personality types, right? Now, if you're just joining us, we're really talking about how to distress pressure using the different types of personality types. And we have just concluded the D-style personality type, right? So now the next style that we're going to go is the I-style personality type. Now, how do you characterize the I styles? Which is influencing. They are outgoing, they are spoken, they are like the life of the party. They are they're the kind of children that when they walk in, they just make everybody happy. They're fun-loving, they're funny, they're smart, they're creative. Right? Thank you very much, Goro. Now, what happens when they are under pressure, right, is that they tend to become more active. They tend to become impatient. So you see your child is impatient. This quarantine. Oh, I want to go out. I want to go. They are not in school. They need to expel that energy, right? So they tend to get louder. They tend to, because they want your attention, they'll get louder. Mommy, do this. Daddy, do this. Mommy, do this. They're just everywhere. Like, can I just have silence? The truth is that shouting on them is not going to give you that silence that you need, right? The I-style personalities, really and truly, they are the creative types, right? So how do you distress that situation, right? The first thing you need to understand is that when they do good, because you see the I-style they are influencing, they love it when people recognize them. They love the spotlight, bottom line. So when you recognize when they do good, when you recognize that, look, you did good, I like it, keep it up, they will, it will distress that situation. The second thing is that they need an opportunity to be heard. Because they are influencing, they love to interact with people. And then imagine they are locked down in a house, no interaction, no movement, nothing to do. It's crazy, right? So they long for that interaction. And the funny thing was that this was the same thing that happened to my sister-in-law that even made me, make this post. Her daughter is more I-style personality type, so she likes to interact with people, and she's been locked up in the house for like 5 days, and she just longed for external communication, not the people that she's used to. And she's like, I want to go and gist to the security guard, right? So one thing that you can do is to give them an opportunity to socialize. Easy. What you can do is get their friends, go on a Zoom call, use Zoom app, talk to their friends' parents. Just do like a 30-minute Zoom call, everybody seeing each other, yay, and that's it. They can let off that steam, right? So what are the words of affirmations that you can use for your I-style personality child? You tell them that, look, I like that you are fun to be with. I like that you are friendly. I love your enthusiasm about life. Once you help them really become comfortable with how much they are, they're outgoing and how fun and enthusiastic they are, you will really develop them, right? So the S personality style type, how do you understand if a child is S personality style? They're most likely reserved, but they're the kind of children that are empathetic. They feel other people's pain. So if you have a child that once you come home from work, already that child is already sensing that there's something wrong with daddy, there's something wrong with mommy, they are most likely S style because they feel people's pain. They can sort of just tell. They're very empathetic. Now, But the issue is when an S-style type child is under pressure, right? What happens? They tend to become very stubborn. So you tell them that, hey, Abdul, do this. Okay. And then they won't do it. Right? So, they tend to become very stubborn. Another thing is that they really like deep friendships. They really like stability. They don't want things to change. And the honest truth is that this whole quarantine thing is going to make them more stressful because it's going out of their comfort zone. It's going out of their stability. So the things are happening that are outside of their comfort zone, right? So what can you do to help them distress? So the first thing is put them on a project that they can do. It can be as easy as doing puzzles. So say, hey, come and do this puzzle. Let's see. What they need is a boost in their confidence because they're naturally reserved. So naturally, they tend to be not the most confident bunch of people, right? So they need something to boost their confidence. When you give them a task and tell them that, hey, you know what, do this, and that they can do it. So when they do it, it boosts their confidence, and then that will sort of help them distress that situation, right? Now, what are the words of affirmations you can use for those kind of children, right? So the first one is, you can tell them that, look, I love that you're a very caring person. I love the fact that you take your time out to care for everybody around you. And I hope you're also taking care of yourself, right? And I like how compassionate you are. Because the truth is that their strength is in their compassion. Their strength is in how caring they are. So when you help them really put more strength to that power, to that strength of theirs, to put more power to it, you see that they'll flourish better, right? And the last one is the C personality type. So they are also very reserved. Now, here's the funny thing. The D and the I personality types are outgoing. They are extroverts. They are outgoing. They don't mind. They take care of this. They take charge of everywhere they go, right? And while the S and the C personality types are the more reserved types. So if you have a child and the child is very outgoing, just know that the child is either D or I. If you have a child and the child is reserved, just know that the child is either an S or a C, right? So the C type personality, they are very good planners. They're analytical. They are very good with details. So they pay attention to the minute details of everything that happens, right? But under stress, what happens to them? They become very uptight. They become wound. They become very reclusive. So they are naturally quiet, but then they become more quiet, more introverted. They become very critical. They start to criticize everything. This is not done well. Oh, the cupboard is not arranged well. Oh, this food is too cold. Oh, the water is too cold. Oh, the water is too hot. They start to criticize everything. When you see that your child is criticizing everything you do, instead of shouting and say, hey, shut up, I'm your mom or I'm your dad, understand that child is most likely C-wired and they are just under stress, right? Another thing is that they tend to blame other people because the truth is that they are very critical. So they are very critical about themselves and about other people. And when you see that they start to blame other people for everything that is going wrong, just know that they are most likely under stress, right? So how do you distress the situation? The truth is that the C personality types, they always want to know why. They are the annoying group of people that always want to know why you have to do something. Now imagine you're telling your child, hey, stay at home. And child is like, why? Shut up, because I'm a parent, stay at home. It's not going to help that child, right? So what you do is you need to always help to explain why you're doing certain things. When you explain those things, it will help them to really understand and internalize it, right? And then also, because they want to suggest, they are very smart, but they don't know how to do it, right? So another thing you can do to help them distress whatever situation they're in is to ask for their own suggestions. So you ask them, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think we should do in this situation? And then, they will offer their advice to you, right? And also give them time alone. Honestly, you don't want to be all up in their space because they really need to recharge inwardly. So you don't want to be all up in their space, right? So that brings us to the end. Okay, so how do you now, the words of affirmation that you can do for a C-wired child is, you see that I like how you always try to be your best. I like how organized you are. C-wired children or C-wired people tend to be very, very organized. They are very, very organized. So that's it. We've talked about the D personality types, which are the dominant. They take charge of whatever situation they're in. The I personality type, which is the influencing. They're like the life of the party. The S personality type, which is the steady. They are very reserved and caring and supportive. The C personality type, which is the compliant. They're very detail oriented. They're very critical, and they tend to be very withdrawn and reclusive. So that brings us to the end of how you can understand which personality style your child is and how you can better manage the situation instead of pulling out your hair and going crazy because they're at home and all that. You understand that okay, people are different and people have different personalities, and they'll be able to understand better. Now here's the thing: if you want to really go deeper into this, the Maxwell Disc Personality Assessment is an amazing assessment. When we do the assessment, we give you a 30-page report. Now that 30-page report tells you about your personality and how you can even interact with other people, other personalities. It gives you an in-depth study. In fact, by the time you finish the assessment, you'll be able to talk to virtually any type of person. You'll be able to analyze people and also know how you can modify your own method of communication to suit theirs, right? So that brings us to the end of my discussion today. Thank you very much for joining in. I hope you guys got value for it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Let me see. And don't forget to share. You can also share this to your network. You don't know which parent is probably out there at home and just going crazy. Our parents should have known this. We would have been fighting every day. Really and truly, yeah. But you see, because they didn't know, if they knew, they would do better. But now we know. Now we have the opportunity to know. So it's incumbent on us to really and truly know and share this to the world, right? So that more parents can know, so that more parents can stop having issues with their kids. Because honestly, you don't want a situation whereby your kids don't like you, you don't want that. So you want to be able to modify your communication style to suit them and to be able to really speak words of affirmation into their lives, because that is what will help them grow into really sane and matured adults, right? So that brings us to the end of today's session. Hopefully, I might come back tomorrow and I'll talk about how grown-ups in the office space, relationships, husband-wife, how your personality style can affect all those things and how you can really modify. And I'll give you, before we go, I'll just give you guys a fun story that happened personally to me. So you see, my wife's personality style is C personality style, and my own personality style is I. Now, one of the characteristics of the I is that they are very, very spontaneous. So they do things without thinking too much. While the C personality is that they're very planning. They like to plan their day. They want to plan every step of the way. Now, I style, spontaneous, so at any point in time, they'll change their mind. C style, once they made up their mind, they've planned it, they move. So there was this day we were going for dinner, and I told my mother, hey, I want to take you out for dinner. Let's go to have Chinese. And she was like, okay, fine, Chinese. So we're heading there. All of a sudden, in my mind, I was like, no, you know what? Let's try this other restaurant. And, I started driving. She was like, where are you going to? I thought you said we're going to have Chinese. I was like, oh, no, I just had a thought that let's go to this other place. And she was like, you said we were going to go for Chinese, right? Now, the funny thing is, it was because we were both really understanding people. We ended up, agreeing on what to do. But imagine if that situation had escalated more than it was. Not knowing that my natural tendency is to be very spontaneous. And not knowing that her natural tendency is to plan things and stick to it to the end. Now, imagine that your natural tendency pisses off your significant other's natural tendency. But you don't know. As far as you are concerned, they're like, why are you so uptight? Right? I just changed my mind. I don't feel like Chinese anymore. What's the problem in that? But you don't know that speaks to the fundamental makeup of who they are. They plan, they stick to it, they go for it. You, on the other hand, wishy-washy. You can change your mind, you can, So if you don't understand these things, you will end up frustrating yourselves, fighting unnecessarily, and not even knowing, where you are heading to in this relationship that you're going to. And the honest truth is that communication is the one thing that breaks down most marriages, most relationships, most family values, right? So if you are able to, if you find value in this, you can send me a DM, and we can talk about how I can help you do the assessment, get your 30-page report, and how you can move forward with this. If also, what I would like you to do is to also share. You don't know who will find this very valuable, right? So thank you guys very much for joining in. I really had fun talking to you guys. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, and this time around probably I'll share the time before I go live. Thank you very much. Peace out.